In this lesson, we're going to do some more practice with time signature. We've talked about how time signature is numbers that appear at the beginning of a song to tell you how many beats are in a measure and what kind of note gets one beat. Okay, again, it looks like this. It might be 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, 6/8, 2/2, 5/8. There's lots of different possibilities. It's going to be two numbers on top of each other. The top number tells you how many beats are in a measure. So right here it says, what does the top number of a time signature tell you? How many beats in one measure? Okay. The bottom number tells you what kind of note gets one beat. Tells you what kind of note gets one beat. So, for example, in this time signature, the top number is a 2, so that tells you there's going to be 2 beats in every measure. And then the bottom number is a 4, so that tells you, you can think of it like a fraction, 1/4, a quarter. 1/4 note is going to get 1 beat. Okay? All right, you're going to draw the bar lines. Remember, a bar line is the vertical line that divides music into measures. So the way I knew to draw the bar line right here is because we had 2 beats, so that measure is full. I'm going to draw another bar line right here. We have 1 beat here. We have another beat here. Even though it's a rest, remember, it still takes up a beat of music. A beat here, 1 beat here, another bar line. 1, 2, another bar line. Why don't you finish that out yourself? Okay, so you should have done 2 beats. Now, here's a half note. You should have put a bar line right here because this half note gets 2 beats. So this note by itself is a whole measure because 2 beats make up 1 measure. Then you've got 2 more quarter notes. You've got a half note, 2 beats, quarter note, quarter rest plus quarter note, and then a half note is how it should look. All right, then it asks you to write the rhythm under the note. So under quarter notes, I'm going to put the number, so a 1. Under quarter rests, I'm going to put the number, but I'm going to put it within a parentheses because beat 2 still happens, but it's silent. So by putting it in a parentheses, you know it's beat 2, and you know it's going to still get a full beat, but it's going to be a silent beat. Okay, again, 1, parentheses 2. Now here it's just 2 quarter notes, so 1, 2. Now here it's 2 quarter rests, so 1, 2, and they're in parentheses, or you can put parentheses around each number. For a half note, I'm going to draw a big 1, and I'm going to draw a little 2. So that tells you that on 1, you start the note, and then beat 2 happens within that half note. So when beat 2 happens, the half note is still being held. Okay, and then 1, 2, 1, big 1 with a little 2. Okay, then a quarter rest, you're going to put a 1 with a parentheses, a 2, big 1, little 2. All right, next one is 4/4 time. So the top number is a 4, so you're going to make sure that every measure, every bar has 4 beats in it. Okay, and the bottom number is still a 4, so the bottom number tells you what kind of note gets a beat, so a quarter note is still going to get 1 beat, okay? All right, so we need 4 beats. So 1, big 2, little 3, half note gets 2 beats, and then beat 4 is the quarter rest, so there's your bar line. Now, I do want to point out that this worksheet has a dotted half note, which we're going to be talking about in just a couple lessons. A dotted half note is 3 beats. So whenever you get to a dotted half note, make sure you give it 3 beats in value. Half note is 2, quarter note and quarter rest are 1. Why don't you pause the video and finish that out on your own. All right, let's check how you did. So quarter note, quarter rest, bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, bar line. Dotted half note, quarter note, together, 3 plus 1 is 4, bar line. Half note's 2, quarter note, quarter rest, bar line. And then you have a dotted half note, which is 3, and a quarter note, which is 1, total of 4 beats. Now let's write the rhythm underneath. So 1, parentheses 2, 3, parentheses 4. Okay, parentheses 1, big 2, little 3, big 4. Okay, now here we're going to do big 1, little 2, little 3, because both of these beats happen within that dotted half note. So the dotted half note starts on beat 1, and then beat 2 and 3 are within that note, and then this is beat 4. Why don't you do these 2 on your own, and then we'll check them. So big 1, little 2, 3, parentheses 4, big 1, little 2, little 3, and then beat 4. Okay, all right, now on this is a review of what we did last time. So I want to see if you can do this by yourself. So we're going to pause the video and do it, and then we'll come back and check that together. The top number is going to tell you how many beats. The bottom number is going to tell you what kind of note gets one beat. Okay, so you should have completed this on your own. Let's check. How many beats in a measure? 3, because the top number is 3. What kind of note gets one beat? There's a 4 on the bottom, so you think of that like 1/4. So a quarter. You could have drawn a quarter note, or you could have written quarter note. Either way is fine. Sorry, quarter note. Okay, all right. Here, how many beats? So the top number here is a 2, so you're going to put a 2 beats per measure. What kind of note gets one beat, though? It's not going to be a quarter note. It's going to be a 1/2. What fraction is that? It's a half. So a half note is going to get one beat in that time signature. You don't have to totally understand that yet. You just need to understand that that's the rule, and later you'll learn more about that. Okay, and then in this one, the top number is a 6, so there are 6 beats in a measure. What kind of note gets a beat? You're going to do 1/8. That is 1/8, so you're going to do an 1/8 note. Okay, and an 1/8 note, let me see if I can find a good picture quickly to show you. No, I can't, so I'm just going to draw it for you. It looks like a quarter note, but with a flag. Okay, now you only want to draw a single 1/8 note, so you're going to use the flag. You don't want to draw beamed 1/8 notes because only 1/8 note in this time signature we get a beat. Again, you don't have to understand that because that's different than most of what you're doing right now, but you need to understand that that's the rule. Okay, and later on you'll understand more why that's true, or how to do that, I guess. All right, now you're going to fill in the measures with 1/8, quarter, and half notes, or rests, where they need to be to equal the correct number of beats for the time signature at the beginning of the line. So what that means is on the last worksheet, there was only one correct answer for each measure because the rules were different. But on this one, you have some freedom. You can use 1/8 notes. Okay, you can use quarter notes, or you can use half notes, or you can use the corresponding rests. If you want to, you could do single 1/8 notes. I'm not going to draw that. I think that might be a little bit too much for today, just with the time we have, but you could do that. So I'm going to not draw the rest for that, but I am going to draw a quarter rest. These would each be worth 1, and then a half rest, looks like a hat, remember, and each of those, this one's worth 2 or that one's worth 2. So you can use that. Notice we're not using dotted half notes, we're not using a whole notes. These are your options. 1/8 notes, quarter notes, half notes, or the corresponding rests, okay? All right, so the first one, we've got 4 times, so every measure by the time you're done should have 4 beats in it. And I'm gonna let you do this on your own. The next one is 3 times, so every measure when you're done should have 3 beats in it. 3 beats. Sometimes people get so used to doing 4 they forget to switch right here. 3 beats. Okay, so go and pause the video, fill these in, and then come back and I'll give you an example of one, but there's going to be more than one right answer, so your answers might not be exactly the same as mine. Okay, so whatever you put here needs to add up to 4 beats. So you could put a half note and a half rest. That would be 4 beats. Here you could put 2 1/8 notes, and you could put a quarter rest. Here you could put a quarter note and 2 1/8 notes, but again, these are not, there's lots of different options. And here you could put a quarter rest, okay? All right, now down here, same rules, so you're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna do a half note, but I can't do another half note because that would be 4 beats. I only need 3 beats, and then that measure's full. So I'm gonna do a quarter note, okay? Here I already have 2, I only need 1 more beat. I'm gonna do 1/8 notes. 2 1/8 notes equals 1 beat. Here I'm going to do a quarter rest, and here I'm going to do a quarter note. Okay, but again, there are lots of different options, and you might have done it slightly differently. The link to the next lesson in this video series can be found in the description below.